And I'm going to start up a screen share to start pointing out stuff on my agenda as soon as I find that again. Let's check. Okay, I think we're good here. Hopefully you guys can see my agenda that I've posted. So this is going to be the system that I'm going to use. I'm going to try to get an agenda up about 7 o'clock each morning, along with any assignments that are being created or due. So that's what we have here. You see over in the classwork tab, there's a vocab unit and grammar assignment that are posted, and I'll talk about those as we kind of move through here. Also, the reason that I'm posting assignments due as midnight, I always reference, think if something's due like on Wednesday, that really means Tuesday by midnight. If something's due Thursday, that means Wednesday by midnight. And I'm saying both those things so we don't get confused, but there's Spence. It's just kind of a different way that we have to do things because I can't walk around the room and check things like I normally would for kind of spot checking, routine homework stuff. So it's a little bit hectic for me in the morning, but that's how I'm going to have to do it. Okay, so live session today just to kind of go through our first vocab routine. So if you guys have your vocabulary books with you and want to turn to lesson 1, I'm going to ask you to actually get out a physical piece of paper, and I'm going to read through the words, and I just want you to try to write them down the best you can. Okay. So we're actually, excuse me, you can have your vocab book handy, but don't start looking in there yet. Okay, so just have a piece of paper. We're going to read through the words. You're going to try to write them down just to get them in your head. And then we'll talk about what I want you to do for Thursday, which will be pretty routine because you guys have been doing these books for years. So, ready? Got a writing utensil? First word is probably pretty difficult to spell. It's camaraderie. As you probably heard before, it means rapport, goodwill, buddies, camaraderie. So try to write down camaraderie the best you can. Second word, frangible. It means fragile, easy to break. Frangible. Third word is litany, litany, any long, repetitive, or dull recital. Kind of like what I'm doing right now. No. Number 4, moratorium, a suspension of activity. Moratorium. 5, zealous. Like a zealot would be zealous. And it means fervent or fanatical. You don't have to write down definitions or anything. Just try to write down the word. 6, desiccate means to dry out. Desiccate. 7, wrenching means causing mental or physical pain. Wrenching. 8, replete means full or abundant. Replete. 9, interminable means tiresome and long, seemingly endless, like sitting in a cohort for 7 hours. Interminable. 10, arable, suitable for the cultivation of land. Arable. 11, lugubrious. Mr. Cooney, are you just making up these words? No. It means mournful or gloomy. Lugubrious. 12, truncate means to shorten. Truncate. 13, ubiquitous means occurring or seeming to occur everywhere. Ubiquitous. 14, vernacular means everyday language. Vernacular. And 15, equanimity means composure or calmness. Equanimity. Okay, as soon as you finish jotting down those last 1 or 2, feel free to open your books. Look at how you wrote those words down, see if it resembles what they really are. And then what you need to do for Thursday, which means Wednesday night by midnight, is do sections 1 through 4 of the first vocab unit with those words. Okay, so words in context, pretty self-explanatory. Sentence completion, Feel free to get creative or humorous with that. Exercise 3 is roots, prefixes, and suffixes. Just do your best on that. If you miss some or have 1 or 2 blank, that's okay. And then there is an inference section, that's section 4. Something's implied by the sentence, and you try to infer the rest of the sentence, and it's using a vocab word, and that's it. Okay, you do not have to do exercise 5, writing, or any of the grammatical stuff that happens after that. Now, it is a little bit tedious the way we have to turn this in, because you are going to have to take pictures of the pages that you filled out. If any of you prefer to put your answers on your own piece of paper, and then you only have to take maybe 1 image or 2 instead of all these pages, that's totally fine. I've seen people do that. Maybe you even type your answers instead, and then you can just upload the Google Doc. It really doesn't matter to me as long as you upload it to the assignment. So back to my screen share here. Vocab Unit 1, okay, there's the actual assignment post. So never turn in an assignment to the agenda, always turn it into a classwork post. It's an assignment post, okay? Also over there, you see the grammar lesson post. Someone has already turned this in. How is that possible? Just gave it out at 7 o'clock. Somebody's on it. Okay, let me go back to my agenda here. So grammar-wise, an answer key for lessons 1 and 2 is posted on that previous assignment. Okay, I thought about doing a video for each one, but I felt like that was just one video too much. It's pretty routine grammar. So just view that to check and correct lessons 1 and 2. Grammar lessons 3 and 4 on pronouns is assigned. Please watch the video and complete the items. And that's due Friday, which means Thursday night. Okay, so all these routine assignments, remember, these are on the daily activity schedule if you ever get mixed up, but they are described here with the due date, and the due date is correctly entered on the assignment, unless you see me mess up, and feel free to let me know because it gets confusing. But you want to watch this video here because not only does it explain the concepts, which again are pretty routine at this point, but it also tells you which items to do. Okay, so there's like two-page handouts, and you don't have to do the whole thing. I usually have you do somewhere around half. So watch the video to find out which ones to do. That's my way of getting you to do it. And then of course, you know how to your routines with your PDFs to get those turned in. Okay, so to the real stuff. Workbook. Okay, so I said I'll address questions about workbook pages 3 through 7. You should have submitted last night. And before I forget to mention it, we do have a new assignment. I might not have put that on the assignments page yet, but I will today. Please read pages 31 through 39, and that's going to be more specific information on the MCQ section of the test. Just kind of familiarize, using the workbook to kind of familiarize ourselves with the test. I can't have as long of a discussion with you guys about it. So we're going to kind of be in a every other day pattern right now with doing some stuff from the workbook and doing another chunk of how to read literature like a professor. So you see the first chunk of that is due tomorrow, which means you're finishing that tonight. So anyway, I wrote down some notes about some, I think I'll stop my screen share here. I did write down some notes about some things you guys brought up with your questions. So I'm going to cover a few of those now, and then if there's something I didn't cover that you really wanted to know, then you can feel free to speak up or slide that into chat. Okay, so someone asked what the national pass rate was. And I thought that was kind of an interesting question. So actually, let me go back to screen sharing here because I've got some specific information for you on that. Let's see. All this is on the College Board website. Okay, you guys seeing this? So these are national rates, and this is 2019. 2020 was obviously a weird year, even though I have results back on that because they shrank the test just like they shrank your Lang test. So here's the numbers in this box here. I don't know, hopefully you can see those. The percentage of people who got a 5, a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1, you guys know what those scores mean. The 3 is right pretty similar, almost identical, right? But then when you go above that, it looks like in general, people find the Lang test a little bit harder because we got 15% getting a 4, 6% getting a 5. And for, let's see, oh no, I had that backwards. The literature seems to be a little bit more difficult because we had 15 and 5 getting a 4 and a 5. Whereas Lang, we have 18% getting a 4 and 10% getting a 5. So 1 out of 10 people getting a 5. Certainly not what we experience here. It's pretty hard to get a 5. So those are national rates, and I can also tell you about the rates that happened in Ohio last year. I'm actually pretty proud about this. My overall rates of passage, which, and when we say passage, we mean 3 or above, have kind of been stepping down over the years for whatever reason. And 2019, I was down to a 37% passage rate, so I was really not happy about that. And that's why I took this deep dive into AP Classroom, which we already started to use and we'll be using a lot. And it went really well, and it created a nice transition even into the COVID, remote learning. So you can't compare year to year, but you can compare us against the Ohio average. And so the Ohio average last year went from 49% in 2019 to 61% in 2020, which means they probably graded kind of soft, on that one question. But we went from 37% in 2019 to 79%. I had 79% pass in the spring. So I was really proud of them and proud of us. And I think it just kind of shows how great AP Classroom is. It just gives you so much direct practice that's straight off tests and all from College Board and stuff. All right. Turn off the screen share again so I can see you guys. And again, feel free to slide any more questions in the chat, but I'm going to keep going through my list here. Writing versus typing, great question. I don't know the answer to that yet. My guess with how this year will probably go is we'll probably still have another digital test of some sort. Because they can have some control over that with the lockdown browsers and all that stuff. And they're able to design a lot of it where you can't really cheat per se, or it's like maybe not worth your time to try to cheat because you've got those timing things, just like we practiced with that 2019 test over the summer. So I don't know what's going to happen for sure. I'm just going to keep teaching through AP Classroom because it would be hard. I don't know. I hate grading handwritten stuff anyway, and just make it even harder if I'm grading a picture of handwritten stuff. So we're going to stick with type, and hopefully they'll let us know at some point how that test is going to work, but I don't have a certain answer on that yet. I think someone was wondering what kind of literature is on the MCQ. I assume that you mean poetry versus prose. And when we say prose, we just mean anything that's not poetry. Anything that's a short story or novel or anything like that, we consider prose. Everything in this class is creative literature. Okay, so it's pretty much no nonfiction for the most part, unless it's a really creative biography or something like that. It could, but for the most part, not. The multiple choice section, the next section in your workbook will go into more detail about it, but it's basically 2 or 3 sections each of prose and poetry. It could be a whole poem, could be a small part of a larger poem, and the prose could be the opening of a novel, section of a short story, anything like that. And it's somewhere between 10 and 15 questions on a total of either 4 or 5 sections, divided approximately in half, poetry and prose. So 2 of one, 2 of the other, or 2 of one and 3 of the other. That's how the multiple choice gets put together. Okay, will we have enough practice in our cohort? Well, I certainly hope so. I'm going to try to do every bit as much direct practice, whether what we call formative or formal assessments. Remotely, we can do it through AP Classroom, so I don't think we'll be short on practice. What we will be short on, inevitably, is my favorite part of teaching, and that's class discussions. We can try to do what we can in here, but with how small these bells are and what we need to get through, I don't feel like I can, keep you guys for a half an hour live session every day. That's not realistic, right? So I'm going to do it a lot now and probably not do it every day eventually, but I'm hoping that the practice on AP Classroom will still get us there. Somebody asked about guessing. Okay. Yes, you should guess rather than not finish some items. Okay, if nothing else, fill in the C's for the last 4 questions because you're about to run out of time. You're never going. I think maybe somewhere there's still some tests where you get counted off more if you give a wrong answer than if you leave it blank. That's certainly not the case with AP. So you want to get all those bubbles filled out, but hopefully you don't get to that point and you can pace yourself to actually take the whole thing. Okay. Why not a raw score? I think probably what you mean by that is more specific feedback on the different sections of the test. I wish they did that too. I assume the reason they don't do that is because people would question so many specific things that they would just have this huge mess on their hands. And so what they do is they give this composite score on this 5-point scale that doesn't seem to have anything to do with any individual parts of the test, right? We know that it's 55% multiple choice and 45% essay. And that's why I divided up that on your summer work. But short of that, we don't find out exactly how you answered each question and exactly how it was scored. And the new 6-point rubric, again, is even weirder because it's like the rubric on the essays is 6 points and then your overall score is 5. They don't really have anything to do with each other. They do what's called normalize the scores, and they decide kind of what percentage looks like they should get a 5, a 4, and so on, and then they kind of apply those scores. It's kind of a mystery to me too. So I can't give a great answer on that, but that's the best I can do. Time limits, again, you'll learn more from the workbook about that, but long story short, 60 minutes for the multiple choice and 2 hours for the essays, which gives you an average of 40 minutes for each of the essay, but you can take more or less time on each one. You could take a half an hour on each one, an hour on the last one if you wanted to. Multiple choice, total of an hour. How many multiple choice questions? I think I answered that. What score gets credit? That depends on where you go to college. In general, the easiest that it's going to be is a 3. Nobody's going to give you credit for a 2. Many places will give you credit for a 3. I know some private universities and highly selective colleges in general might insist on you getting a 4. And I've heard of, I guess maybe some Ivy League schools in that level might say you're not going to get anything unless you get a 5. For the most part, the schools around here you can get away with a 3. I think I remember Xavier at some point might have said a 4. I don't know whether that's still the case. If anybody knows anything about that, feel free to speak up. Okay. Those are the most common things I saw. What else are you guys wondering about? Feel free to pop into chat or unmute yourself and be a speaking human being. I'm just checking my time here. 9:10. Okay. Anything? What else are you wondering about with the test? Based on those pages that we read. Patient wait time, patient wait time. I'm just practicing my emoticons. Question about vocab? Yes, about anything. And feel free to unmute yourself and just talk, Mackenzie, it's fine.
Okay, so we're using this book, right?
Hold on, I'm not seeing your square. Are you holding it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Okay, and we're on lesson 1, right?
Yep.
I just don't see the words.
Really?
Yeah, like I
Is
think I
yours
have a,
is yours purple?
no,
What color is it?
orange.
Oh, you got the 9th grade one. Does everybody else has the purple one, right? Hello? Does everybody else have purple? Okay, I don't know how you ended up with that. That's really odd. Hey, everybody else in my cohort here, we have purple vocab books, right? Mackenzie, did you come in later than the other people in the cohort? Did I individually give you a stack of books?
Yeah.
Okay. Somehow I must have given you the wrong one. I feel terrible about that. If anybody can bring you one, that would be great. I don't know what the current system is with people coming in to get books. I know we had that big drop off, but yeah, we need to get you a different one. If you're somehow unable to get that before Thursday, I'll work with you. So don't stress, but just let me know if I can help. Let me know if I can help get that to you. So.
I can just have my mom come get it if you want.
I just don't know whether the school's allowing people just driving up. So call
Okay.
the school and ask them how you can do that, and I'll make sure and get one down there for you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Other questions about anything? And last reminder before I forget, don't forget that you do need to get, if you haven't started yet, that is a decent amount of reading that you need to do and how to read literature like a professor. And I do, want to stress that this is a good foundation for reading creative literature critically, which is what we're doing. So let's really do that reading. I think it's a pretty enjoyable book. Actually, it's pretty interesting, all the different allusions and comparisons that he makes. And we'll probably put together some kind of group slide presentations to review it eventually. I'm still thinking about it, but yeah, so let's get through those questions. And I think there's like 15 or 20 questions. The whole study guide is posted, and you guys are cutting and pasting chunks of sections based on what I ask you to read onto another document. All right, any other questions? And I won't hold you too much longer if there are not. You guys all good? Okay, I'll let you go. Stay on top of your stuff, check the assignments, and I will get that literature professor post up there if I didn't already. Have a good morning.